beautiful souls, and welcome back to Gaia Sanctorum. I'm Danielle, and this is Living the Wheel, where we follow the cycles of nature and the cosmos and the wisdom of the five bodies to navigate our human experience with ancient knowledge and embodied practices. Last week, we were asked to hold paradox, float spiritually while the ground shook, surrender to Mercury retrograde's dreamy waters while Mars square Uranus erupted underneath us. And if you made it through that week, still standing, still breathing, and still tending your life, I want you to take a moment and acknowledge that, because that was not easy. The world is not easy right now. This week is going to be a little bit different. This week, the cosmos is not asking you to hold tension or navigate chaos. This week, the cosmos is showing us a door, and someone very beautiful is walking through it first. Venus enters Aries on March 6th. She is the first personal planet to cross the threshold into the new paradigm that the Great Reset opened. She is leading with love, with values, with beauty and desire, and the courage to want something new. And she is carrying a message for all of us. The dream is still alive. The new world is still being born. And it begins not with force or strategy, but with the tender, radical act of an open heart choosing to walk forward. Let's go ahead and look at the full picture, and then we'll talk about how to live it across all five bodies. Last week, you navigated Venus trine Jupiter's grace, opening your heart. Mercury stationing retrograde, pulling you inward. Mars square Uranus, shaking everything that was ready to break. Mercury conjunct Venus, asking you what your heart still knows after all the chaos. And the Virgo eclipse energy was building the whole time, asking you one quiet, persistent question. How will you ground this? That question gets answered this week. Now, on March 2nd, Mars enters Pisces. So Mars is leaving Aquarius and entering Pisces. The warrior is going to lay down his sword and walk into the water. This is significant. For months, Mars has been in Aquarius, fueling revolutionary, collective, system disrupting energy of the Great Reset cycle. That energy isn't gone, but it is shifting. Mars in Pisces acts differently. It moves through feeling rather than through force. It dissolves resistance rather than fighting it. It finds the current and it follows it rather than just charging upstream. For a world that is exhausted from fighting, Mars in Pisces is actually a relief. You don't have to force anything right now. You get to feel your way forward. Then the very next day, we have the lunar eclipse, full moon in Virgo. This is the eclipse that the last 2 weeks have been building towards. Virgo and Pisces are the axis of healing. Pisces is the dream, the disillusion, the surrender, the vast ocean of spirit. Virgo is the daily practice, the embodiment, the tending, the work of making things real, one small step at a time. For weeks, we have been in deep Piscean waters, dreams dissolving old forms, structures releasing. The Great Reset opening a doorway that we couldn't fully see through yet. The Virgo eclipse says, now, come back to Earth, not harshly, not with criticism or perfectionism, but with the quiet power of someone who knows that real transformation lives in the daily practice. What are you going to do with everything that you've received? What small, sustainable, embodied practice are you willing to commit to? Not a grand gesture, not a complete life overhaul. What is one thing that you will tend consistently in service of the new life that is trying to emerge through you? That is the Virgo eclipse question. So take some time, let it sit with you. And then on March 6th, Venus enters Aries. Here she is. Venus crosses the threshold into Aries, becoming the first personal planet to fully inhabit the new paradigm of the Great Reset. Venus in Aries is bold. She knows what she wants. She doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses. She doesn't perform. She initiates. She moves toward desire without apology and loves without losing herself. But here's the deeper thing about Venus being first into Aries. She's leading with the feminine, with the heart, with values and beauty and what matters most. Before strategy, before force, before any plan or system, love walks through the door first. And in a world that is fracturing and frightening and horrifying right now, that is not a small thing. That is everything. Then the very next day, we've got the Sun conjunct Mercury in Pisces. Now, Mercury is still retrograde, but the Sun reaches it and something clarifies. This is called a cazimi. It's when the planet sits right at the exact heart of the Sun. It's considered a moment of purification and illumination, even in retrograde. The fog of Mercury retrograde parts for a moment and something becomes clear. What do you actually know? Not what you've been told, not what makes logical sense, not what is safe or practical, but what does your soul know? What has the dreaming and the processing of the last 2 weeks revealed? Pay close attention on March 7th. Write it down. What comes through during a cazimi is true. And then on that same day, we have Venus conjunct Neptune in Aries. Venus meets Neptune in the very first degrees of Aries. Venus conjunct Neptune is always enchanting. But in Aries, this is the vision of what love and beauty look like in the new paradigm. Neptune is showing Venus the dream, the possibility, what could exist in this new world that we are building. That is not delusion. That is not spiritual bypass. This is the necessary visioning that has to come before the building. You have to be able to see it before you can create it. Allow yourself to dream this week about love, about beauty, about what kind of life you are walking toward. The dreaming is sacred work. And then one day later, on March 8th, Venus meets Saturn. This is the moment that the dream becomes commitment. Saturn in Aries says, I am not just going to dream this. I am going to build it. I'm going to structure it. I am going to show up for it consistently, even when it's hard. Within 48 hours, Venus moves from vision to commitment. That is the entire Saturn-Neptune story from the Great Reset playing out in miniature in your own heart. Dream it on the 7th, commit to it on the 8th. Not a grand announcement, not a public declaration, just a quiet internal yes. I choose this. I'm building towards this. I am still here. Now, the invitation of this week, the world is still chaotic. Old systems are still shaking. None of that has changed. But this week, the cosmos is showing you what you're building toward. Venus is showing you how to walk into the new with your heart open. The Virgo eclipse is going to show you how to ground the dreams into a daily practice. The cazimi is showing you what you actually know. And then Saturn is inviting you to commit to it. You don't have to save the world this week. You just have to tend your life. Trust your heart and take one step through that door. Now let's talk about how to do that across all 5 bodies. Your physical body needs nourishment that matches the energy of Venus crossing a threshold. Bold, red, celebratory, but grounding. Food that says, I am alive, I am here, and I am feeding myself with intention. One of the first foods I'm going to recommend is Makaronia and Kima. This is Greek meat sauce with pasta. It's beef or lamb, slow cooked with tomato and cinnamon and warm spices. This is ancestral medicine. This is the food of people who have survived things and still gathered around a table to eat together. The cinnamon carries sweet, savory complexity of Venus and Aries. The meat is bold and Mars ruled and deeply grounding. Make it the way my grandmother would have. Make it slowly, with love, and let it be a prayer for continuity, for the thread that holds through the chaos. Then make yourself a batch of some raspberry simple syrup. Keep it in your refrigerator all week. Raspberries are bold and red and Venus ruled, tart and sweet and alive. Add it to sparkling water or your matcha for a daily act of celebration. You can drizzle it over yogurt, pour it on pancakes. Let it be a small reminder that sweetness is still available to you, that beauty still exists. A simple syrup takes 15 minutes to make and lasts all week. And then fig tarts on puff pastry. This is the physical body receiving grace. So I use labneh, which is a Mediterranean ancestral creamy and tangy form of cream cheese. Figs are Venus and Neptune, ancient and sweet and lush. Puff pastry makes it a little celebratory. It's like a little act of beauty and joy that says that we're worth the extra effort. You could infuse some lavender into honey and drizzle it over the top. There's lots of things you could do with that. And honey brings that Venus and Aries fire, that sweet drizzled over the top. Make these when you need to remember that pleasure is medicine, that beauty is medicine, that feeding yourself something gorgeous is an act of resistance in a world that is hard right now. Now, some herbs that will help you this week will be red raspberry leaf. This is Venus medicine, physical body fortification. Red raspberry leaf strengthens and tones and nourishes. After weeks of intense transits, your physical body has been under stress, whether you noticed it or not. Red raspberry leaf rebuilds. It's mineral rich and deeply nourishing. It's the kind of slow, steady support that doesn't announce itself, but it just makes everything work better. Now, you can brew it as a long infusion, 1 ounce of dried leaf to a quart of water, steep it overnight, and drink it throughout the day. Let it be your daily tonic this week. Your physical body has been holding a ton of tension. Mars squared Uranus last week, the collective anxiety of a world in upheaval, the way we store fear and stress, our muscles, our shoulders, our hips, without even realizing that we're doing it. Cramp Arc releases that held tension gently and effectively. It relaxes smooth muscle and skeletal muscle alike. It eases the physical grip of stress, and it reminds your body that it's okay to soften. It's safe. You take it as a tincture when you notice you've been clenching. And then Lady's Mantle. This herb is named for the protective cloak of the divine feminine. Lady's Mantle is Venus ruled and deeply appropriate for the week Venus leads us into new territory. It gathers dew in its pleated leaves, and the alchemists called that dew a sacred substance. Lady's Mantle is protective, restorative, and it does have a particular affinity for the reproductive system and the second chakra, the seat of creative power and desire. As Venus enters into Aries and we move into bold, new creative territory, Lady's Mantle is going to support the physical body that is the vessel for all of that creative fire. You can take it as a tea or tincture daily. Now, let's talk about some practices. For your physical body, interoceptive breathing and relaxation is going to be super important. Before you get out of bed, before you reach for your phone, place both hands on your belly. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel the air going into your nostrils, into your lungs, expanding your diaphragm, and feel your belly rise into your hands. Exhale slowly and feel it fall, and follow the same process going back. Do this for 5 breaths, and then you can begin a slow scan from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, not to fix anything, not to judge anything, just to kind of feel from the inside out. Where is there warmth? Where is there tension? Where are you soft? Where are you gripping? This type of interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense the interior of your own body, is the foundation of everything else. You cannot cross into the new while you leave your body behind. 10 minutes every morning this week, let it be the first thing you do. And then some journaling prompts for this week, but also specifically for the Virgo eclipse. At the top of the page, I want you to write what my body has been trying to tell me. And then write for 10 minutes without stopping. What has your physical body been communicating through symptoms, through tension, through exhaustion or restlessness? What is the physical intelligence underneath the symptom? The Virgo eclipse illuminates what needs tending in the most practical body that you inhabit. Now let's move on to the mental body. So your mental body has been in Mercury retrograde waters for days now. Foggy, turned inward, processing rather than projecting. And then on March 7th, the cazimi arrives like a flash of genuine light. Your mental body needs food and herbs and practices that support both the ongoing review and the moments of clarity. Now, a food that's really going to help you with that is mango basil salad with tahini. Mango is bright and tropical and uplifting clarity food for a mind that has been swimming in Piscean fog. Basil is Mercury ruled. It's aromatic and clarifying. It literally opens your sinuses and your mental pathways simultaneously. And tahini brings that chili lime salt brightness that cuts through all of that heaviness in one sharp hit. Dice up some red onion, add some cherry tomatoes. Together, this salad is kind of like cazimi energy in a bowl. Eat it on March 7th if you can. Let it be the physical anchor for the mental clarity that wants to come through. Next would be traditional rice pudding with cinnamon. So, Mercury retrograde in Pisces also needs comfort and stillness. There are moments this week when your mental body does not need stimulation. It needs quieting. Rice pudding with cinnamon is the food of surrender. It is creamy and slow and sweet and warm, and it asks nothing of your mind except that you sit down and be present with something simple. Make it when you feel the mental chatter spinning. Let it slow you down. Take a breath. And then caprese salad with balsamic glaze. This is one of the most simple, present, and grounding recipes that I use on a regular basis. Tomatoes are Mars ruled and vivid and alive. Fresh mozzarella is cooling and stabilizing. Basil is Mercury, and a good balsamic reduction is rich and ancient and complex, the product of years of patience. This salad is mental body medicine for someone who needs to be reminded that clarity doesn't require complexity. Sometimes the most intelligent thing that you can do is to keep it simple. Now, some herbs. Wild bergamot, Monarda fistulosa. This is Native American bee balm. It is Mercury medicine through its aromatic volatile oils and its long history of use by indigenous peoples for clearing the mind, opening respiratory pathways, and bringing clarity. It's antimicrobial and warming and deeply aromatic, the kind of herb that wakes you up from the inside. During Mercury retrograde, when the mind gets murky and waterlogged in Piscean fog, wild bergamot is the gentle clearing that doesn't force. You can brew it as a tea and let the steam open up your sinuses and your mental pathways at the same time. On March 7th, for the cazimi, have a cup before you journal and let it help you access what is becoming clear. And then catnip. Most people know catnip as the herb that makes cats ridiculous. But catnip is actually a gentle nervine for the human mental body. It calms anxious or racing thoughts without dulling your awareness. It is both Venus and Mercury ruled. It is pleasant and mild, and it creates a kind of spaciousness in the mind that Mercury retrograde in Pisces is actually kind of calling for. You cannot force your way into clarity during a retrograde. Catnip helps you kind of relax into it. Take the tea before bed or anytime you're going to be doing just some quiet processing time. And then lobelia. Now, lobelia is a low-dose herb, and I want to be clear about that. A few drops of tincture, not dropperfuls. Lobelia at low doses is a profound nervine and respiratory opener. It clears the physical tension in the chest and the throat. And in doing so, it creates genuine mental and emotional relief. When you cannot think clearly because your chest is tight and your breathing is shallow, lobelia addresses the physical root of the mental problem. A few drops under the tongue and then breathe. You will notice the opening immediately. This is not to be used in high doses and definitely not during pregnancy. Now, for practices, I want you to try to have a mind-body dialogue. Sit comfortably and place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Ask your mental body out loud, what are you trying to figure out? Let your thinking mind answer. When it's answered, I want you to then ask your body, what do you know about this? And listen for the response that comes not as a thought, but as a sensation, tightening, softening, a shift in your breath, feeling in your gut. This is the practice of the mental body finally getting quiet enough to hear the body's intelligence. Mercury retrograde in Pisces is asking you to stop thinking your way forward and start feeling your way. This practice builds that capacity. 10 minutes daily, especially powerful on March 7th. Before you sit with your tea and journal, take the time to listen to your insight. Now, some journaling prompts for the cazimi on March 7th. Set yourself 20 minutes or so, brew some bee balm tea, put your phone in another room. At the top of your journal page, I want you to write, what do I know? Not what I think, not what I've been told, not what makes sense. What do I know? And then write, let Mercury's moment in the sun's heart speak through your hand. What has the retrograde been trying to show you? What has been clarifying underneath all of that fog? You're going to get some good kernels. Now, let's get into the emotional body. So this week, your emotional body is going to need both comfort and celebration. The world is hard, and we all deserve to feel held. And Venus is crossing into Aries, and you deserve to feel that hope too. Both of them are real. Both of them are valid. Let your emotional body have all of it. One of the foods I'm going to recommend is bacon mac and cheese with Calabrian chili. I am not going to apologize for this one. When the world is fracturing and frightening and exhausting, your emotional body sometimes needs food that makes you feel safe, creamy, rich, warm. The pasta your soul reaches for when it needs comfort. Bacon, need I say more? And the Calabrian chili cuts through the heaviness with that hit of fire, that little spark that says, you're still alive, you're still feeling, you're still here. Make it. Eat it without guilt. Tend your emotional body. That is the spiritual practice. Now, another food that I will recommend because it's great medicine is ahi tuna with strawberry jalapeno pico. Let your emotional body feel the boldness of Venus and Aries. Ahi tuna is sleek and beautiful and present and super high in omega-3s, which helps your neurotransmitter production. Strawberry jalapeno pico is Venus and Aries on a plate. Sweet red fruit, fire, together, bold and fresh and alive. This is the food of an emotional body that is beginning to remember that it can want things, beautiful things, exciting things. Let this meal be a small celebration of your own aliveness. And then watermelon feta mint salad. This is cooling and grounding and Mediterranean and deeply refreshing. When your emotional body has been overwhelmed by heat and intensity, watermelon brings the cooling relief. Feta grounds it, mint clarifies and lifts. This is the emotional body exhaling. Simple and beautiful and easy. Eat it outside if you can. And then some herbs. Hibiscus tea. Bold, red, tart, alive. Hibiscus is Venus medicine that matches the energy of Venus and Aries. It's vibrant. It's unapologetic. It is rich in antioxidants. It supports cardiovascular health. It has a particular affinity for the heart, both physical and energetic. As an emotional body herb, it lifts your mood. It brings a quality of bright warmth. Brew it as a deep red tea. Serve it iced with a little bit of honey. Let the color alone remind you that beauty is still here. And then peony. Now, this is deeply underused in Western practice. Peony root is celebrated in Chinese medicine as a blood tonic and a spirit calmer. It has a particular gift for the emotional body that is overwhelmed, that has been feeling too much for way too long. It doesn't numb, it stabilizes. It creates internal ground under your feet when your feelings have become a flood. For a week of heart opening and grief and hope, all existing simultaneously, peony is the herb that helps you hold all of it without being swept away. Now, this would be taken as a tincture or as a decoction. Also, rose geranium. The scent alone is medicine. So, rose geranium is Venus ruled and deeply balancing for the emotional body, easing anxiety without sedating, lifting mood without forcing. It has this particular ability to address what a lot of herbalists call emotional congestion, the feelings that are stuck, that won't move, that sit heavy in the chest without releasing. Add the essential oil to a diffuser. Brew the dried herb as a tea or add a few drops of food grade hydrosol to your water. Breathe it in. Let it do its work. It's amazing medicine. Now, one of the practices I want you to try for your emotional body this week is authentic movement. Clear a small space in your room, put on music that matches your emotional weather today, or work in complete silence if that feels more right for you. Close your eyes, place your hands on your heart, and then just let your body move however it needs to move. Not choreographed, not performed, not what looks good. Let your emotional body lead you. If it wants to sway, slowly sway. If it wants to shake, shake. If it wants to collapse on the floor or reach toward the ceiling, follow that. Your emotions have been enormous lately, and they need to move through your body, not cycle through your thoughts. 10 to 15 minutes. Let it be messy. Let it be real. This is how grief moves. This is how fear releases. This is how you wake hope up in your body. Now, your journaling prompt. This is for Venus and Aries. So on March 6th, I want you to write, I am allowed to want ... And then write for 10 minutes. What does your heart actually want? Not what is practical or responsible or what other people need from you. What does your heart want? Venus entering Aries is giving you permission to know the answer to that question. Write it down. Your energetic body has been through disillusion and disruption and the electrifying chaos of Mars square Uranus. It needs clearing, protection, and the kind of fiery protective food and herbs that rebuild your field without closing you down. So one of the first things I will recommend is Mediterranean relish. I love this. It's made with feta and roasted chickpeas, Peruvian peppers, and artichoke hearts. This is protective medicine in a bowl. So the feta is mineral dense and it's incredibly grounding. The roasted chickpeas are your earthy, satisfying Mars energy that anchors your field. The Peruvian peppers bring the fire that moves stagnant energy out of your system, clearing whatever last week's chaos left behind. And the artichoke hearts are liver and channel support, bitter and cleansing. Spring medicine that keeps the energetic pathways open. You can serve it on bread alongside meat. I just eat it straight with a spoon. It protects, it grounds, it fires up, and it clears all simultaneously. Next would be dark chocolate bark with candied rose and habanero. So, dark chocolate is among one of my favorite foods, but it is also magnesium rich and it literally rebuilds your nervous system. The candied rose is Venus, heart opening, beauty is medicine, the sweetness that says your energy field deserves tenderness. And then the candied habanero clears your field in one swift, bright hit. Together, it is protection and passion and fire. Make it as a ceremony. Break off a piece when you need your energetic body reminded that it is strong. Next would be chicken and vegetables stir fried with garlic and ginger. Garlic is fiercely protective. It clears both physical and energetic interference. Ginger is warming and moving, and it gets your stagnant energy flowing. And the cream sauce kind of grounds the whole thing and makes it nourishing rather than aggressive. Stir fry vegetables, keep it light and adaptable. This is a meal for a night when you feel like you're depleted and you need your energy field kind of rebuilt from the inside out. Now, as far as herbs go, Pau d'Arco. So, Pau d'Arco is a deep cleansing bark medicine from South America. Pau d'Arco clears the energetic system, whether that is pathogenic organisms or energetic residue from intense collective fields. After weeks of navigating high intensity transits during a globally chaotic time, your energetic body has been taking on more than it can easily process. Pau d'Arco is kind of like the deep sweep, the clearing agent. You decoct the inner bark, drink it as a tea, and imagine it clearing the channels as it moves through you. And next, I would highly recommend some rhodiola. So this is adaptogenic medicine from the high altitudes of Siberia and the Arctic. Rhodiola builds resilience in the energetic body. It builds the capacity to remain stable and responsive without burning out. Now, it also has a particular affinity for mental and physical stamina during high stress situations. which I don't know about anybody else, but that kind of describes the last several weeks pretty perfectly. It is mildly stimulating, so you want to take it in the morning rather than at night. You can take it as a tincture, or you could even stir some powder into your morning tea. And then asafoetida is an ancient resin medicine. It is pungent and powerful and deeply protective. Asafoetida cuts through energetic confusion and interference. So it is used across traditions as protective medicine. It is hung in the home. It is added to cooking. In some cultures, they carry it as a talisman. Now, in cooking, it adds a very deeply savory umami quality. As an energetic body herb, it creates clarity in a field that has become muddled by collective chaos. A small amount goes a very long way. If you add a pinch to your cooking, or you could carry a small amount in a cloth pouch, it's wonderful lineage medicine. Now, as far as practices, we want to try a heart-centered body wisdom practice. So if you sit comfortably and bring your awareness to your heart center, I want you to take 3 slow breaths into that space. And then ask your heart, what does my energetic body need right now? Instead of answering with your mind, scan your body for where you feel contracted and where you feel open. Where is your field pulling inward to try and protect itself? And where is it naturally wanting to expand? If you breathe into the contracted places without forcing them open, breathe gratitude into the places of openness. This practice develops your ability to read your own energetic field from the inside, rather than from trying to manage it from the outside. Just 10 minutes a day, your field has its own intelligence. Practices like this is how you access it. And then your journaling prompt for energetic boundaries. Write about where am I leaking my energy right now? So list every situation, relationship, obligation, or habit that is drawing your field without actually replenishing it. You don't have to fix it today, but just seeing it clearly. Seeing is the first step to being able to choose differently. The Virgo eclipse wants you to get practical and honest about what is actually sustainable. Now, your spiritual body is at the center of everything this week. Venus conjunct Neptune is giving you a vision. Venus conjunct Saturn is asking you to commit to it. The cazimi is offering you a moment of genuine knowing. And the Virgo eclipse is asking you how you will make it real. This is your spiritual body's most important week in a very long time. So some foods that can help with that would be a quick paella, saffron, seafood, rice, and community. Paella is ceremony made fast. It is Mediterranean ancestral food at its most communal. The kind of dish that says, we are still gathering, we are still feeding each other, we are still here. The saffron is visionary and mood lifting and golden. It is the most sacred spice in the Mediterranean tradition. Make it this week as an act of spiritual continuity. Whether you share it with others or you make it just for yourself, you are participating in an unbroken chain of nourishment that stretches back through lineage. The next food I would recommend is oysters grilled in vinho doce. Now, vinho doce is a Portuguese wine and garlic marinade. It's oceanic and ancient. Oysters are one of the oldest foods that humans have eaten, and they appear as sacred offerings across many different cultures. Vinadoish carries the preservation wisdom of people who knew how to make things last. It's wine and garlic and herbs, transforming simple ingredients into something lasting. These are the last breaths of Neptune and Pisces on your plate. Ocean medicine, threshold medicine, the food of crossing from one world to another. If you can, grill them over an open flame and just spoon the vinadoish into the oysters as they cook. It's amazing. And then saffron panna cotta. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world because it has to be harvested by hand at dawn. It is visionary and mood elevating and deeply sacred in traditions from Persia to the Mediterranean. Now, panna cotta trembles when you touch it. It's like it's barely holding its form. It's luminous and soft and on the edge of dissolving. That is your spiritual body right now. Tender, barely contained, and full of something golden. Make this for March 7th or 8th when Venus is meeting Neptune and then Saturn. Let it be your ceremony. Now, for some herbs that will help with the spiritual body this week. Myrrh. This is ancient resin medicine. It was carried by the Magi. It was used in temple rituals across the ancient world. Myrrh is Saturn medicine. It is the crystallization of time itself. It is death and preservation and the sacred made material. When you burn myrrh resin during this week's spiritual practices, it grounds the spiritual into matter, which is exactly what Saturn is asking Venus to do. The dream must be given form. The vision must be committed to. You burn myrrh as you journal on March 8th. When Venus meets Saturn, let the smoke be your prayer of commitment. And then cypress. Now, the tree of the Mediterranean underworld and also the tree of eternal life. Cypress appears in Greek cemeteries and in ancient temples alike because it holds both the dying and the enduring. Now, cypress essential oil or incense is threshold medicine. It supports the soul in crossing from one chapter to another without losing itself. As Venus crosses into Aries and as we collectively move from one world to the next, cypress helps the spiritual body navigate the crossing with grace and integrity. You can use the essential oil on your pulse points or burn the incense during meditation this week. You will be amazed at how incredibly clarifying it is. And then Mucuna. Mucuna pruriens is the velvet bean. It contains natural L-dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine. It is mood lifting and vision supporting and deeply nourishing to the nervous system. After weeks of intensity in a world that is genuinely horrifying, your spiritual body needs the neurological capacity for hope. Mucuna does not create false optimism. It restores the biological foundation from which genuine hope can arise. You can put the powder in your morning smoothie. You can add it to warm milk. This is medicine for the spiritual body that has been running on empty and needs to remember what it feels like to look forward. Now, as far as practices, heart-centered, loving compassion practice. Sit quietly, and bring your awareness to your heart. Take 3 slow breaths. Begin by bringing to mind someone that you love easily and naturally. Feel the warmth that arises in your chest. Let it grow. Then gently extend that same warmth towards yourself, not as a performance, not forced, just an offering. May I be helped. May I be safe. May I know I am loved. Then extend it outward to your community, to those who are suffering, to the world that is in so much pain right now. You're not bypassing the hard reality. You're tending to the spiritual body's capacity for love in the middle of it. Venus conjunct Neptune on the 7th, and then Venus conjunct Saturn on the 8th are both asking you to love consciously and deliberately. This practice is the training ground for that. 15 minutes, let it be slow. And then for Venus conjunct Saturn, what I'd like you to do is write a commitment journal. 1 sentence, just one. I commit to, and let whatever comes next be true. Not a performance, not a goal, a genuine internal commitment to something that your heart has been moving towards. Venus dreamed it on the 7th. Saturn asks you to name it on the 8th. Write it down, sign it, witness yourself choosing. So here is what this week is asking of you: not to fight, not to force, not to figure it all out. Mars has entered Pisces, and the warrior has become the dreamer. The Virgo eclipse is asking you to ground the dreams into daily practice, one small, sustainable step at a time. Venus is walking through the door into the new paradigm and leading with her heart, showing you that it is possible to move forward with love intact. So cazimi on March 7th is going to show you something true. Write it down. Venus conjunct Neptune is going to show you what is possible. Let yourself see it. And then Venus conjunct Saturn is going to ask you to commit. Say yes to something. This is not the week to save the world. This is the week to tend your life, to eat well, to move your body, to clear your field, to dream, and then commit to one small piece of the dream, to let Venus show you that walking forward with an open heart is not naive, that it is the most radical and necessary thing that you could do right now. The world is hard. It is genuinely hard. And your daily practice, your kitchen, your body, your heart, your commitment to showing up for your own life, that is not separate from the larger healing. That is the larger healing. A world full of people tending themselves with intention, feeding themselves with love, clearing their fields, committing to beauty. That is how the new world is built. Not all at once, one kitchen, one body, one open heart at a time. Now, if you guys have been watching these episodes and thinking, I want to go deeper, but I don't know where to start, that is exactly what the 5 bodies assessment is designed for. It is not generic wellness advice. It is a personalized map of your 5 bodies which one needs the most support right now, and exactly what foods and herbs and practices are right for your unique constitution and natal chart. Now, the mini assessment gives you focused clarity on where to begin. The full assessment gives you the complete 50+ page map, including in-depth medical astrology and natal chart work. Both of them are available at GaiaSanctorum.com. The link's in the description. And I did want to let you know that if you start with a mini and you want the full picture within 30 days, your investment will be fully credited. Now, Venus is walking through the door. She's not charging. She's not conquering. She's walking with her heart open into something new. You can follow her, not because the chaos is over, not because the world has magically healed itself overnight, but because something new is being born. And it begins exactly in the place that you're standing, in your kitchen, in your body, in the quiet commitment that you make to yourself. The dream is still alive. Let Venus show you where it lives. This is Living the Wheel, where we follow the cycles of nature and the cosmos and the wisdom of the five bodies to navigate our human experience with ancient knowledge and embodied practices. I really, really, truly appreciate y'all being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Danielle. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.